Well, hey there. Have you ever been scrolling through your feed, checking out the trending fits or sounds, and just kind of wondered, is pop culture secretly trying to tell us something about the global economy? Because right now, pop culture and economics are literally colliding on our screens in a massive, massive way. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happens when the shifting vibes of internet culture go head-to-head with the hard, undeniable reality of macroeconomic data. We're unpacking the theories, looking closely at the actual numbers, and figuring out what's really going on behind those screens. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the TikTok recession theory. I know, it sounds kind of absurd, doesn't it? Like, no way. But we are literally asking if the style of pants people are choosing to wear, or the specific genre of pop music climbing the charts, can actually act as a crystal ball for impending financial doom. But here's the thing. This is exactly how Gen Z is interpreting economic conditions right now. Instead of staring at spreadsheets, they're looking at aesthetics. It's like a giant puzzle where they're piecing together cultural trends to try and forecast our financial future. So what's sparking all this? Well, it's very specific cultural cues. Young people on platforms like TikTok are pointing right at the fierce comeback of early 2000s fashion. You've probably seen it, right? These deeply nostalgic aesthetics are just everywhere suddenly. And it's not just the clothes, it's the playlist too. Theories are linking our current economic mood to the energetic music of artists like Lady Gaga and, of course, the explosive rise of Chappell Roan. The idea spreading like wildfire online is that this specific combo of pop culture nostalgia is basically a distress signal, a cultural canary in the coal mine, warning us that a major economic downturn is fast approaching. All right, moving right along to Section 2, what the data says. To truly wrap our heads around this phenomenon, we've got to flip the coin and look through two completely different lenses. On one side, you have the cultural cues, the TikTok trends, the aesthetics, the overall vibes we were just talking about. But on the other side, you've got the established indicators. We're talking traditional, data-backed metrics like GDP and unemployment. To impartially understand our current reality, we really have to recognize that these two perspectives are telling completely different stories. It is a literal clash between internet sentiment and mathematical measurement. Let me introduce you to the NBER, that's the National Bureau of Economic Research. They are the official authority responsible for declaring a recession based on hard data. They're the ones looking at all the math and actually making the call. And, it is absolutely crucial to note that this official authority has definitively not declared any recession. The folks whose literal job it is to sound the economic alarm, they're sitting quietly right now. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why the NBER hasn't made that call. Let's look at GDP growth. A key warning signal for a recession is a consecutive decline, right? But that hasn't been triggered. There is zero consecutive decline. What about unemployment? Well, we haven't seen a sharp rise. Actually, scratch that. Unemployment remains relatively low. And the stock market? Sure, it's slightly fluctuating, which is totally normal, by the way, but its overall performance is incredibly stable. So traditional metrics absolutely do not point toward the massive economic downturn that social media is bracing for. Which brings us to Section 3, the real economic anxiety. 2008, the Great Recession. This is the crucial historical anchor point here. When Gen Z looks at today's cultural trends, the fashion, the music we mentioned, they're anxiously comparing it to the cultural landscape of 2008, right before the global economy collapsed. That year left a profound generational scar, and honestly, the fear of a repeat is exactly what's driving these social media theories today. You see, the root anxieties driving this 2008 comparison are entirely valid. Experts widely acknowledge this for sure. Even if forecasting a recession based on Chappell Roan's chart position is, well, a flawed method, the real-world pressures younger generations are feeling, those are not made up. They're looking at very real concerns about job security in a rapidly changing world. They're facing immense global uncertainty. And perhaps most immediately, they're feeling the daily tangible squeeze of wages, just failing to keep pace with rising living costs. The anxiety is 100% real, even if the pop culture warning system is a bit broken. Let's bring it all together in Section 4, Vibes versus Hard Data. So here is where the experts land on this fascinating debate, and the consensus is pretty clear. First up, cultural cues simply lack empirical support. They're super interesting as a lens for public sentiment, but they just aren't predictive data. Second, traditional data-driven indicators, those NBR metrics we looked at earlier, remain far more reliable. And third, based on those reliable indicators, the current evidence strongly suggests a relatively stable economic environment, not some imminent downturn. So the crucial point is perfectly captured in our source material right here. While Gen Z's concerns highlight real anxieties, their reliance on cultural cues lacks empirical support. And that's really the main takeaway for us. We can completely validate the very real feelings of uncertainty and the immense stress of living costs, while simultaneously and objectively rejecting the TikTok methodology for predicting economic collapse. Both things can be true at once, right? The vibes are anxious, but the data is stable. Now, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We know that hard data is what ultimately drives the market and dictates the official declarations of a recession. But when millions of people genuinely feel a vibe shift through the music they listen to and the clothes they wear, how much do those cultural vibes drive our day-to-day reality? It's this powerful disconnect between sentiment and statistics, and it kind of completely changes how we consume both our pop culture and our economic news. So keep questioning what you see on your feed, always check the data, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.